Hey everybody, welcome to Cryptopia. Do I have an amazing interview lined up for you guys today? I do. It's the CEO of Dimitra, and trust me, I am so bullish on this project, and I think you will be too after you watch this interview. So stick around till the end. Like I said, Dimitra is very much an AI-based platform helping to solve real-world problems. It's great. Also, I want to let you guys know Dimitra has been so gracious enough to offer us a Gleam contest, and it's going to be $200 in Dimitra tokens for the first prize and $100 for the second prize. So basically, the person that completes the most actions, you know how Gleam works, like Twitter, follow Telegram, invite friends, all of this stuff. And the person with the most actions will win $200, and the person with the second most actions will win $100. This is a great way to get in on the ground floor of an amazing project. So I'll leave a link in the description below, and also let me know what you think about Dimitra after you watch this interview. All right, everybody, we'll see you soon.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cryptopia. So I'm here today with Jon Trask from the Dimitra platform, here to talk about how they're integrating artificial intelligence into their crop managements and deforestation, and basically just helping farmers as a whole. So Jon, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Could you give me a little quick insight as to what Dimitra is, and then we could break into this?
Yeah, thank you. It's very exciting to be here. Dimitra is a group of applications to help farmers. And so we have applications that help livestock farmers, crop farmers, coffee farmers, and most recently, farmers who are affected by the new EU regulations around deforestation.
Okay.
And, that's a super exciting topic.
Yeah, very much. Well, it's a global topic that's going to be needed. So.
Yeah, at COP, at the last COP event and the one before, there was some work on getting an agreement between all the countries, and 141 countries signed a pact in order to eliminate deforestation by 2030. And the EU is going first.
Okay.
At that conference, they announced that they're going to enforce this legislation. They're going to start enforcing this legislation in 18 months from essentially the end of last year. And they've given notice to all of these suppliers, the suppliers of chocolate and cocoa products, coffee, soybean, palm oil, and then cattle, rubber, and anything to do with trees. And those are the first crops that are going to be legislated or regulated. And those are the crops that globally have the biggest effect on deforestation. So essentially what they're saying is if you've deforested your farm after 2020, you're not going to be able to sell your crops to the EU.
Okay.
And so farmers have two challenges. One, did they do that? And two, if they did that, what do they do? But the big change for them is they and their buyers and the importers now have to certify that the crop comes from a farm that was never deforested in that time window. Okay. So we took that and looked at it and said, how do we solve that problem? I do some work on a working group with the United Nations and lots of solutions coming out of that. And it's a great group for me to sound ideas off of and work through some of these challenges. So what we decided to do was take satellite, take a mobile phone, because most of these farmers are in remote areas, maybe don't have a computer, they just work on mobile, and take artificial intelligence and machine learning and study those farms. So this all started in Paraná, Brazil, was our first state that we built the system for. And essentially what we do is we take this 2020 cutoff, we take a satellite view of the farm, we take a current satellite view of the farm, we compare those and look at, has the tree cover changed? Did tree cover increase, decrease? If it decreased, we have a challenge with deforestation. If it increased, don't have a challenge at all. And machine learning works really well because we're covering vast amounts of land. And it's hard with a satellite when you're covering hundreds and hundreds of thousands of kilometers to tell the difference between every tree and every bush. And by definition, what is deforestation? If you take out a bush, is that okay? Sure. If you take out a tree, it's not okay. Um, and then there's a whole bunch of anomalies, like your trees may get taken out by weather. They may get taken out by fire. And we have to start looking at those anomalies. Is it naturally occurring, or is it true deforestation where somebody goes out with a chainsaw and takes out a whole forest?
So the AI is basically helping to make all these compilations and put it all together and then store it on the blockchain, basically.
Absolutely. So then somebody wants that certificate. They need to certify to the EU that they didn't deforest. Every time they ship, they need to make that certification. So the second date changes all the time. You may ship in January, you may ship again in March, you may ship again in December. You need 3 reports on your farm if you ship 3 times.
Wow. And so this is basically ongoing. So it's not like something, so all these farmers that are going to be shipping to the EU, they're going to need these reports 2, 3, 4 times a year, every year, basically.
Pretty regularly. There will be some frequency that they'll let a certification sit for a certain number of months or maybe a month. Those regulations haven't been determined yet. And all of that's coming forward to the start date in 2024. Everybody's been given 18 months to get ready. And this is game changing from a environment perspective and a supply chain transactional perspective. This is literally millions, probably 100 millions and even billions of transactions and certificates that need to happen for 7 of the biggest commodities in the world. And EU is just starting it. There are 28 countries that are working to solve this global deforestation problem. And so we look at it and we said, well, blockchain is also a great tool for this. So what we do is somebody comes in, they give us a request for a certificate. We give them a pre-certificate that shows them what their farm looks like. And if there's any deforestation, we can negotiate if there's any problems with that. If disease knocked out a couple trees and that looks like deforestation, we can note those anomalies. And then they pay us for that. So let's say it costs $10. And the prices will be different. The prices will be based on volume. We convert that fiat to tokens. And essentially all of the services then get paid off. So we have to pay a satellite supplier. We probably have to pay a filing fee with the EU. The filing fee probably has to remain in fiat because the EU is not going to accept a token.
Not yet.
That's not yet. And then all of that increases volume on the Dimitra token. And then the balance of whatever is not spent stays in the Dimitra proceeds to fund further work. And it ends up providing liquidity for the platform.
That's great.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah. And then so the bulk of this now comes back down to all of those transactions and the impact we can make on the environment, and how does blockchain play into that? And it's got some simple ways. One, immutability. Nobody can mess with that transaction once it's done. We take all of that base data out of those satellite reports and the farmer reports and load that onto the blockchain. And then, there's some benefit from a regulatory perspective. A lot of the regulators are very pro blockchain. The United Nations has a huge blockchain program. And then there's security and sharing records. So from a security perspective, everybody is looking for their data to be secure. Not every farmer will want to share their data with the entire world, but they have to share it with the appropriate people, the transportation people and the customs people and the export people and import people. So blockchain is great for sharing that, because now they have the hash and they can share that hash with whoever is appropriate to see those records.
No, that's great. Well, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I love your project. And I think, what you're doing with the real world blockchain, helping farmers, helping, against the deforestation, all this stuff. It's absolutely amazing. So I think it's absolutely great. So I'd love to touch base with you on a few other points about your AI and how you integrate that into your, applications.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got all the time in the world to talk to
The
you and your community.
Perfect. Well, I guess the next one would be, your animal productivity. That's something, that I read about.
Yeah, so there's some statistical techniques that have happened over time, and we have a livestock guru platform and a livestock guru commercial platform, and they collect data on cattle. And so you start getting data about the parentage of the cows, and you start getting health data and feed data. And the performance of an animal, let's say producing milk, is 50% hereditary and 50% genetic.
Okay.
And the genetics really come down to the parents who were the who was the dam and who was the sire, and what did their performance look like. So now we have this app, and it's a commercial app essentially made for geneticists who want to work with farmers to improve their performance, and looking at the parents and grandparents and the performance and the environmental factors through statistical analysis, through different versions of machine learning. We can start picking out anomalies that may be hereditary in that animal. So if the grandfather had a disease, there may be a probability that the calf has that disease.
Gotcha.
And so again, just like agronomy with crops, there are many factors that play into that from a genetics perspective. But the app, it's quite cool. We can go in there and load up all of the history of the animals, all the health history of the animals, and the feeding history of the animals, and look at performance. And essentially, we were playing with it yesterday and found different combinations of cattle that will produce 49 kilos more beef per
Wow.
cow versus random selection.
Okay.
And
And
you can think of it this way, like if you're an American, you look at your football players and they're 6'5" and 300 pounds and run 100 miles an hour,
yeah,
and there's a component of that that's genetic, and that exists with cattle as well. So
for sure.
if you pick those bulls and those dams and you breed
Yeah,
them together, you're going to get different results, and we can help predict what those results are going to be through this technique.
that's really cool. Is the application? Is it? I guess the question B, is it fairly user friendly? Is it easy for people to use? I'm kind of curious. Like a small farmer that's got 20 cows, is it something that he could go and actually use, or is it only for like more commercial? I'm kind of curious. Is this a set for mass adoption, or is it only for like big industries?
So today, originally we built it for big industry. We built it for governments, a government in South America, a government in Africa that have tens of millions of cows,
Okay.
and they want to improve the herd in the entire country. So they have geneticists who are using the platform. What that allowed us to
Okay.
do was actually start learning from that. And so we built a second application called Livestock Guru Cloud. And we started porting over some of the technology from our commercial application into Livestock Guru Cloud. So we started with the animal records. So a farmer can load their animal records. We're just working
Okay.
on ease of use on the expected progeny differences and the breeding value, and bringing that over now. So not all of the features are in the cloud version, and there's a
Okay.
big difference. The commercial platform's a multi-million-dollar platform, and the cloud
Of
version
course.
is $7 a month. Uh,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
so so
Uh,
what we're trying to do, and the great value, is that when you go and you build all of this stuff, there's ways afterwards that it doesn't need to work for a geneticist who's got a PhD. Then we can start saying, how do we really smooth this out and make it for every farmer? And that's the state we're in
yeah.
now with that application.
That's awesome. I absolutely love it. It's really, really cool. I have one last question. I was just going to ask, how does Dimitra, like, how do you guys actually make money as a company? So your apps are awesome. You're using artificial intelligence. I love your platform. You're helping, empowering farmers, putting the power back into the hands of the people. All of the stuff I love. But how does it work as a company? I'm just kind of curious if you could touch base on that really quick.
So, I mean, so there's a lot of different venues. The main money maker is the software, and
Okay.
you go and do a job for a national government or a cooperative, and you get a very large group of farmers. A government can bring you millions of users at a time. They'll buy the Dimitra app. They'll white label it and call it the whatever their Ministry of Agriculture name is,
Sure. Yeah.
and they license the technology from us on an annual basis. So they
Okay.
may sign a 3-year or 5-year contract, and they may bring tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, or in some of the cases, even millions of farmers. And so we get revenue that way. The second large group is cooperatives. So not nearly as large. Cooperatives tend to be 500 farms to tens of thousands of farms. And we go sign deals with them. And we have some really big cooperatives in South America that we've signed deals with. And they don't put it to every farm, but they get a group discount. So essentially, if they've got 10,000 farmers, they put it out there and say, we'll give you a 20% discount because we think we're going to bring 1,000 of those 10,000 farmers to your app. And then we work with the project to spread word of mouth. And then the third component comes in all of the ancillary benefits. So the data has value. We never share an individual farmer's data, but we aggregate the data and say, here's all the corn farmers in a certain area, and here's how they perform. And universities are interested in that. Feed companies, they're willing to buy that data. And then there's some new products we have. So we're testing. We've been designing a marketplace so farmers will be able to sell their crops, and that's something that's coming this year.
Amazing.
And then in the long run, we have a couple more.
So a marketplace for the crops that people. So you'll help facilitate the farmers to actually create more crops, make a better revenue, and then you're also helping to facilitate a place for them to offboard and sell their crops, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. That's great.
Deforestation certificates we see to be huge. This deforestation initiative from Europe may be the most impactful legislation in global food supply chain in history. It will create millions and maybe even hundreds of millions of transactions per year. Because you think anytime somebody ships cocoa beans to Europe,
they need that document. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we look at that, and this year we're helping prepare those farms and prepare those importers to make sure they're ready for next year because their supply chain is going to change. And then, they've got to get set up and be able to produce certificates every time they ship.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I think you guys have an incredibly bright future ahead of you guys. So not financial advice, but I recommend everybody go out and buy some Dimitra tokens. I'm definitely holding myself a moon bag. I got it a few months back, and I've been holding. I think you guys are doing great things in the world, and thank you so much for being here today. Any other things that you'd like to touch base on before we sign off here today?
Really, we really appreciate you and your community and all of the global crypto community. Our platform and all of that functionality is based on a foundation of blockchain, and it is the most unique tool to farmers from a track and trace and immutability and security perspective. It provides a whole bunch of value that you just can't do in a typical cloud application. And
for sure.
And such an exciting adventure because crypto people and blockchain people are so passionate. So working with them is a lot of fun as well. So we appreciate you and
well, thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time and coming here and coming onto our channel. And I'd love to have you back again in the future. Maybe we could talk about some other points and other aspects of your platform. But I think this was great. Touching base on some of the AI aspects for Dimitra. And I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it, and we look forward to the next interview.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Have a great day.
So there you have it, Dimitra. I am so bullish on this project. After this interview, I'm going to even be buying more tokens. I promise you, this kind of project is going to go to the moon. Not financial advice. Do your own research, do your own due diligence. But me personally, this is one of my biggest bags, and there's good reason for that. I am so bullish on this. So guys, like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And also, if you enjoyed this video, do me a big favor. Hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on that bell notification and go over and join our Patreon. We've got some amazing opportunities going on over there via our Discord link. We have 2 tiers. We have our standard VIP Discord link as well as our inner circle. You get buy, sell, stake alerts early. And trust me, our Patreons are making amazing gains. So guys, we hope to see you over there and to have you as part of our Cryptopia family. So everybody, have a great day, and do me one more big favor. Don't forget to smile, and we'll see you in the next video.